Po sa inyong lahat. On the part of the DFA, we released a statement last August 12, 2025, expressing concern on the dangerous maneuvers of the Chinese vessels. Si Secretary Lazaro din, she issued a statement, nagsalita siya that while we consider the collision an unfortunate outcome, it must be emphasized that it was not caused by the Philippines. Regarding the diplomatic protest for this specific incident, pinag-aaralan pa rin po.
Follow-up lang po. The DFA also released a statement, yun nga po, no, about the incident and also reminded China about yung repayment doon sa June 2024 incident. Did we officially ask China again to pay doon sa nangyari po na incident sa Ayungin?
Well, ito po yung pinakahuli. So at the moment, ito lang po muna ang sinabi ng ating secretary.
Okay na ba yung mga mic natin? Press mic. Sir? Yusek Lopez, sir.
Well, actually, when the incident happened last year, no, meron tayong pending request actually. One, for the firearms to be returned, okay? And the other one is, I think, payment, no? I guess from the AFP, maybe he can come up with, more, kasi basta yung pagkakanik, no, meron tayong outstanding request actually. So, sabi nga, baka wala pang progress about that.
Next question po, ma'am, sir.
Good afternoon po. Patrick Desos from PTV. Sa DFA po ulit, clarification lang po yung 35 diplomatic protest. For this year po ba yun or yung second quarter alone lang po? And kung may naging response po yung sa Chinese government po?
The 35 is for yes,
This year lang yun, ma'am, tama. May naging response pa po ba from the Chinese government po doon sa mga final po na diplomatic protests?
As far as I know, wala po, no? As far as I know, but I can double check.
Thank you. Kay Sir J po. Yung update lang po sa monitoring sa BDM, if still for China Coast Guard ships po yung nasa vicinity and kung naglo-loiter pa rin po ron yung research vessel po na Xiangyang Hong 10. Thank you.
Well, based on our monitoring, the Philippine Coast Guard is still monitoring 4 China Coast Guard vessels. As I mentioned last Friday, they are maintaining a distance of 24 nautical miles from Baho de Masinloc. The same thing with Xiangyang Hong Chinese research vessel. It's still within the vicinity of Baho de Masinloc.
Any more questions?
Sir, Pam from AFP po, tatanong ko lang po, like, yung US ships po ba ay present pa near the Scarborough Shoal as of this moment? And if ever, may plano po ba tayo na mag-tap sa US government for their ships to be more present in the area?
AFP.
Yes, the U.S. Navy warships that conducted innocent passage and freedom of navigation in the vicinity of Baho de Masinloc were there a couple of days ago. They were just passing through the area. As to tapping other countries, especially the U.S., for more presence in our maritime domain, I could say that there are other activities, maritime cooperative activities being lined up, not only with the U.S. but with other foreign partners, like-minded nations. In the works, we're planning for them. We don't announce them in advance, but the moment they are finalized and ready for execution, appropriate press advices will be given to all of you.
Hello, sir. Any of the spokespersons may answer because it applies to both the BFAR, Navy, and then the PCG. No? Sir, so far, after the incident on August 11 and then following that fighter jet incident on Wednesday, pwede ba nating masabi na safe pa ang mga Pilipino pumunta sa Baho de Masinloc, whether it be fisherman, BFAR, Coast Guard, or whoever who wants to pass through that area? Can we guarantee their safety at this point, knowing na babanggain naman talaga tayo no, at the time nakaiwas lang talaga yung PCG?
Well, first of all, let me first correct what you said, that on the part of the Philippine Coast Guard, we are not actually implying that the intention of the PLA Navy vessel is to directly ram the Philippine Coast Guard vessel. There is no statement from the Coast Guard, and I would like to have it corrected. Secondly, with regard to the Filipino fishermen to go to Baho de Masinloc, as what we have been mentioning, the kadiwa para sa bagong bayaning mangingisda ng ating mga kababayang mangingisdang Pilipino is part of a project that is being supported by the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, the Department of Agriculture, and the Philippine Coast Guard. Having said that, I would argue that the Filipino fishermen can still go there and engage in fishing venture. The Philippine Coast Guard vessels and BFAR vessels are once in a while deployed in this area to protect the interests of the Filipino fishermen.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Beko Pin from Rappler. For the DFA spokesperson, ma'am, do we have, aside from considering a possible protest, do we have plans of bringing this up perhaps through the BCM with China? I think we would be expecting one soon, or dapat last month a meeting with China. Do we intend on bringing up Baho de Masinloc specifically, and perhaps do we see the need or a future in which we can negotiate something like a provisional agreement similar to the one in Ayungin?
Well, regarding sa bilateral dialogue natin with China, yes, we are looking at existing platforms for discussing all these important matters with China. Again, ang instructions sa atin is that we continue diplomacy and dialogue, and we keep lines of communication open with China. Linsunod na nga yan sa instructions ng Pangulo to manage the issue in a peaceful manner.
More questions?
Sa PCG po, AFP, or NMC, or NSC po, last week nabanggit po ni General Browner po na magkakaroon ng conference nga po ang Philippine Coast Guard and Armed Forces of the Philippines with the President po. Ito po ba yung natuloy na, and ano po yung na-discuss kung magkakaroon po ng changes on how we implement yung pag-iit po ng sovereignty po natin sa West Philippine Sea? Kasi as far as the NSA Secretary Anyo is concerned, hindi pa raw time for the military to lead po yung mga operations sa BDM.
Thank you, Patrick. I would like to respond to the question whether there was a meeting already conducted between the Coast Guard and the Armed Forces of the Philippines, which was presided by the President. As of this time, there are no reported meetings that have been completed and presided by the President. As to the changes of our operational and tactical deployment, I would agree to the National Security Advisor, and him being the chairman of the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea. That is something that the Philippine Coast Guard and, of course, the Armed Forces of the Philippines also supports.
Any other questions?
ADG Valencia, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon. We also would like to pursue PCG as the lead as of this point, just to ensure the message to our Chinese friends that we're not escalating things. That is the main message of using our civilian Coast Guard. So I believe they read it. It's just a matter for them to accept it.
Sir, may question lang ako. Siguro just reaction on, kasi you are talking about recently incidents sa Scarborough. May mga there's this article, without naming who, parang nagsasabi na misappreciated daw how we lost Scarborough. And accurate ba yun na tanggapin natin na we lost Scarborough by inaction, and ano ba talaga ang ating stand doon when it comes to that? Kasi parang may nag-accuse din na may misappreciation sa AFP, may misappreciation dun sa ano talagang nangyari. That's why we're in such a mess.
Well, without naming the person, I think you and I know who are you referring to. For one, that's not true. No. The 2016 arbit ruling is a win for us. In whatever way ito ay di tayo nanalo. It's just it's a very sorry thing that some personalities involved trying to demean, no? Para to undermine what we have won. So, in short and simple language, we do not agree to the personal opinion of that person. Thank you.
Yes. If you're referring to a columnist attacking the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, first and foremost, the AFP remains focused on performing its mandate of protecting the integrity of the national territory, defending our sovereignty and sovereign rights. We are aware of different perspectives of the West Philippine Sea, historical perspectives of the West Philippine Sea. It is not our role to engage in historical dispute or political commentary. What is very clear to your armed forces is that we will remain focused on protecting the maritime domain of this country, ensuring our fisher folks are able to access fishing grounds, and that any maritime entitlements within our EEZ and even the extended continental shelf will be for the Filipino people. Thank you.
Do you have any more questions?
Sir Jim. Hi, sir. Jim Gomez, sir, from AP. Sir, what a lot of people saw was the employment of a Chinese Navy ship. Now, usually, Chinese Coast Guard, in an elevated level of aggression, frontline against civilian vessels. So, my question is, what operational safeguards would you employ, countermeasures, would the Philippine government consider now the deployment of Navy ships in frontline operations, not in the background?
Unang-una, ang napakaliwanag ng direktibo nating Pangulo. Whatever we do, we will not be the one to provoke. And hindi lang naman ito nangyari first time. It also happened sometime last year that a PLA Navy warship was deployed at nag-react din tayo doon. Pero ang reaction natin dito hindi tayo magpapadala ng Navy natin para tapatan ang isang Navy. Bakit? Kasi once you deploy a Navy vessel there, you come like warlike. You come in warlike. Para bang nanunutya ka, nangahamon ka. That is not the policy stand of our government. So, hindi tayo magpo-provoke kasi we do not know what will happen if two Navy vessels are there. Kasi doon pwede mangyari miscalculation, misjudgment. And that is the thing that we do not want. No? Hindi naman nasasabi dahil hindi tayo nade-deploy doon and naduduwag tayo, hindi. We are just being prudent, we're just being practical. And we do not want this a situation to escalate. And if ever it escalates, it is not to the best interest of our country. It is not even to the best interest of China, for that matter, and to the region. So we might as well, tone it down and bring it down to a level that we can manage. Otherwise, you do not know what will happen.
Ay, Yusek Lopez. Siguro po para lang din, kasi may mga conversation din online kung yung nangyaring incident, yung ganong klaseng banggaan between two Chinese vessels. If babalik ta rin natin yung sitwasyon, involved na yung Philippine vessel at ganon yung klaseng collision, would that be tantamount to invoking also the Mutual Defense Treaty?
That's speculative. We don't want to respond to questions that are purely speculative.
Hi, it's Bea again. Sir, I understand the position of the Philippines, kaya we don't want gray to gray. Pero to steal from the President's quote last week regarding a different area in our maritime areas, no? He was talking about Taiwan. He was talking about hope is not a plan. Paano naman po yun? Kung kumbaga yun nga, parang yung discussions online is konting ilang inch lang siguro, ilang meter lang siguro, pwedeng hindi China to China collision yun. Baka China-Philippine collision na yun sa Baho de Masinloc na ganun. Like, what are we doing? Although we understand there's a 2016 arbitral award, parang we still know that it's China that is very aggressive in that area and in fact controls access to yung lagoon mismo ng Baho de Masinloc. So, siguro the public will also wonder, like, we say that international law is on our side, but operationally, what they see is China bullying Philippines over and over again.
Well, what the government is doing, in particular the Philippine Coast Guard, is to make sure that we are deploying skippers of the vessels who are excellent in seamanship skills. The display of seamanship skill of Captain Angge, the commanding officer of 4406, is a good evidence of how careful we are in selecting Coast Guard vessels whenever we deploy in the West Philippine Sea.
Well, just to whatever happens, actually, our government is prepared for anything without going to the details. So it is pwede sigurong na ating mga kabayan na meron tayong nakalaan na gagawin kung sakali man. Kumbaga, the contingency measures or plans are in place. So yung sinasabi naman na yung hope about, actually we are planning for the worst scenario. That's very military, no? Basic naman sa amin yun. We do not plan for anything small, but we plan for something big. So without going to the details, we do have contingency measures already.
Any more questions, or are there none? Okay, there's one more.
Sir, follow-up lang, sir. Kasi after that August 11 incident, no? In fact, tinamaan na yung Philippine Coast Guard ship, yung Flagstaff na baluktot, sir. After that, yung nagpalipad yung Philippine Coast Guard ng surveillance plane, may nag-hover naman na Chinese fighter jet just 200 feet above the Philippine Coast Guard plane. So it's getting closer and closer, and it seems like a disaster waiting to happen. So what can the Philippines do in terms of other remedies like yung international anti-collision treaty? What can to it seems like it's helpless. So what other international treaty remedies can the Philippines do aside from what the Philippine Coast Guard and the Navy have been religiously doing?
Well, again, babalik tayo dun sa policy stance ng gobyerno, no? We will address things in the most peaceful manner. In fact, in jet, yung nagpalipad sila, actually, wala pa ngayon eh. The most critical there was yung pinaliparan yung BFAR vessel natin na almost 10 feet lang eh. That's the most critical actually. And how did we address that? We came up with a professional, we came up with a diplomatic protection that, we came up with citing the convention on aerial, yung mga ganung convention. So Well, in terms of, kami kunyari, may mga piloto, no? Kung mangyari sa amin, it's part of the, it's part of the job. Sabi nga, no? Kung mangyari sa Navy, it's part of the job. No? So, but then again, we have measures, we have prepared ang ating gobyerno to tap the most appropriate action on that. Not necessarily military, again. Not necessarily military. Maraming measures. Again, it's not military thing. It's an interagency thing. So even at the end of the day, it's an executive decision what particular action to take.
More questions from the body? Okay, there will be none. May I again call on Sir Yusek Alexander Lopez for his closing statement.
Okay, thank you very much. If there are no more other questions, please allow me to just close it with a closing remark. And I would like to address my remarks to our Filipino people, ating mga kababayan. No? Bilang pagtatapos ng ating press briefing na ito, nais kong iparating ang malinaw na mensahe ng ating National Maritime Council sa ating mga kababayan na katulad ng ginagawa natin ngayon, no? Lamang ang may alam. No, lamang may alam. Kaya nananawagan kami sa lahat ng mga Pilipino na manatiling mapagmatsyag at nagkakaisa sa pagpapahalaga at pagpagtanggol ng ating karapatan sa karagatan. Nantandaan natin ang ating karagatan ay ang ating kinabukasan. Tulad ng sinabi nating Pangulo, we Filipinos are brave. We do not back down because we are afraid. This government does not withdraw from battles. We Filipinos are brave. Ang laban para sa ating soberanya ay laban ng bawat Pilipino at sisiguraduhin ng inyong pamahalan na lahat ng legal at mapayapang paraan ay gagamitin upang protektahan ang ating mga mangingisda, ang ating karagatan at ang ating buong sambayan ng Pilipino at ang ating interest. The Republic of the Philippines firmly upholds its sovereignty rights over the West Philippine Sea. These are waters where the Filipino people remain the rightful stewards, recognized under international law. Recent incidents, including those near Masinloc, have shown that our vessels are not intruders, but protectors of Filipino fishermen exercising their lawful rights in their own seas. The collision involving Chinese vessels underscores the risks when force is used to overshadow legitimate authority. Just as there cannot be two suns in one sky, there can only be one rightful sovereign in the West Philippine Sea, and that is our country, the Philippines. Provocation and aggression cannot extinguish the light of legitimate sovereignty and peace. We urge to stop unjustified exploitation of the West Philippine Sea maritime domain, respect international law, cease all provocative actions, and join the Philippines in pursuing peace and responsible cooperation. Mga kababayan natin, no? Ang West Philippine Sea is not just a place on a map. It is part of our national identity and our future. Like the sun that rises each day, the spirit of the Filipino will continue to shine, steadfast, united, and unyielding. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas, mabuhay ang ating malayang karagatan, at mabuhay tayong lahat. Maraming salamat.
And that concludes our press briefing. Thank you for your questions and for joining us today. Please do not forget to tag our Facebook page, National Maritime Council.